Welcome, this is a Fresh Ideas Photoshop tutorial. Today we're going to create this button that you see in front of you here. So we're going to create it from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. So the first thing to do is to create a new canvas. I'm going to just use 500 by 300 pixels, but you can use whatever you want. Now when I design, I'd like to use some sort of background so it stands out a little bit, so we're going to start by doing that. I'm going to unlock this layer by double clicking it. Double click it again and give it a nice gradient overlay. Let's see here. There we go. I'm going to use radial. Scale it a little bit. We have our gradient there, so that's the background. Then I'd like to add a little bit of texture to it, so I'm going to duplicate the background layer, call it texture. I'm going to remove the layer effect, double click it again, reduce fill opacity to 0, and then click pattern. Now, I have a few patterns here that I've preset, but you can pretty much find tons of patterns online and download it. So I'm going to use this one here. Now this is going to be our background. Now that we have our background, let's start with the button. I'm going to create a new group by clicking the little folder icon here. And then button. Oops. Button. And I'm going to use the rounded rectangle tool here. And just set the border radius to 5 pixels. And I'm going to use a fixed size of 120 to 40 pixels, but you can use whatever size you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and just draw it here in center. Now the first thing to do is to rename it and then double click the button. I'm going to start with the gradient. I'm going to select a nice green color here. Obviously you can choose whatever color you want, and it's quite simple to change the color, set the color to whatever you want afterwards as well. So you can play around with it a little bit. So we get a nice gradient going there. Click OK. The next step is to add the bevel, but we only want a subtle effect right along the top corner here. So we're going to keep inner bevel. I'm going to reduce the size to 1 pixel. I'm going to deselect the global light, set the angle to 90, altitude to 11, and keep screen and the highlight mode set to screen, and the opacity, well, you can play with that a little bit. But the shadow mode we're going to reduce to 0. I'm going to reduce the highlight mode just a tiny bit so that we have a very subtle effect. So now you can see we only have a highlight across the top edge. And I'm going to select shadow. I'm going to reduce the distance to 0 and the size to 3. We just want a little bit. And then we have our base. I'm going to click OK. Now we want to create the glass effect. So I'm going to duplicate the base layer. I'm going to call this glass. I'm going to remove the layer styles, and I do this by right-clicking the layer. I'm going to first design it the way we want it. So I'm going to select the Add Anchor tool here. Click here in the middle. I'm going to remove the bottom ones by using the Delete Anchor tool. Doesn't look very nice. We're going to even it out with the Convert tool here. Let's see here. Let's align it a little better. There we go. Let's go. Maybe move that just a little bit. A little bit more. There we go. Perfect straight line. I'm going to double click it now, and I'm going to first reduce the fill opacity. I'm going to add a gradient to it. Now you can pretty much get the same color scheme from the button just by selecting it. I'm going to choose a little bit lighter, and up top too. Zoom out from time to time to get the perfect perspective of what it looks like. So that looks fine. We're going to go with that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of bevel to this layer as well. Size is going to be 1. Deselect global light. Put it the same as the other one. I'm going to reduce the shadow mode, and maybe reduce the highlight mode just a tiny bit. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the layer here a few pixels. Let's see here. Just something like that. You can play around with it to get a different effect. Move this layer down a little bit. There we go. We're starting to get the effect that we want. So I'm going to reduce the size a little bit. Just select anchor points here, move it up a little. And there we go, that looks good. Now what we're going to create is the little corner section of the button. So again, I'm going to duplicate the base. I just select the layer, right click, and click duplicate. I'm going to find this corner. Now I'm going to remove the layer styles of this layer. And I'm going to give it a white color. Now you can give it whatever color you want because it's one with your button here. And I'm going to reshape it a little bit by using the Add Anchor tool. And remove the other ones. And then use the Convert tool just to make that a little bit more. I'm using the Direct Select tool here just to move the anchors a little bit. And so there we have our corner of the button. Now what we're going to do is create the little pixel arrow. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're just going to draw it in there. Let's see. Zoom in for this. Select the selection tool, and you can basically just paint into it. I'm going to use a dark green color for the arrow. There we go. I'm going to just duplicate and draw it all the way that I want it here. And one more. And so there we have our pixel arrow. So you just go ahead, select these layers, merge them together. You can just hit Control E. We got our arrow. Zoom out here, you can see what it looks like. That looks pretty alright, but we need to just move it a little bit to the left. So there we go. The next thing is we want to add maybe a little bit of texture to the button. So I'm going to duplicate the base once again. I'm going to remove the layer styles. I'm going to double click it. And just get the name first, pattern. And then I'm going to reduce the fill opacity. Once I've done that, we go to pattern overlay and we select the pattern. Let's see, we can have some stripes here. Reduce the opacity a little bit so we just get a very subtle effect. And click OK. So now we pretty much have the base of our button. Looks quite nice. Maybe we should make it a little bit lighter at the bottom. Let's see here. That's a little bit better. And make it a little bit lighter up top. So good. There we go. That's better. And now the last step is just to add text. We're just going to add some white text here to make it simple. And around it, make sure we have placed it where you want it. Maybe reduce the pattern a little bit. Just another wider pattern, perhaps. I think it's a little bit better. So what patterns we have here. That looks good. Nice striped pattern. And there we go. And there we have our download button. And it's very easy to modify the colors, modify pretty much every element of it, the text, and it's easy to play around with. Um, you can download these at our website at enjoythefresh.com, plus tons of other goodies that we offer for free. Thank you.